Hello traders, hello everyone, my name is Gregor Horat and welcome to our new video analysis on cryptocurrencies. So I will walk you through some of the major coins that we are covering on our website. And before I go to some of the wave counts, I really want to touch and look at this exchange inflows data. You can see that there were some inflows here that increased recently after this drop on Bitcoin. So it looks like that some people got scared. Of course, the drop was pretty strong and significant. So a lot of traders obviously are going to exchange their Bitcoins maybe for fiat or something else. So that's why we are seeing this kind of inflows, because there are transactions going on from private wallets to exchanges for a reason. Obviously that someone wants to sell them, but still I do not see any kind of a real or big numbers here. If you look closely here or even back, there were much more impressive inflows before the market really bottomed. So I'm afraid that there is still room for some weakness here, and that maybe there are still weak hands that market will try to get rid from the market before we may really finally stabilize, because unfortunately that's how the market works based on sentiment. So also we have to consider that Bitcoin, that its volatility on the weekly basis is quite high, but still it looks like that there is some room for extremes that we have seen over the last 2 years or so. So I still think that there is room for more upside, but more we move into the extremes with this volatility, we could be closer to a potential support, okay, on Bitcoin. So I still think that when volatility will slow down, that's when Bitcoin could also stabilize and potentially slowly start moving to the upside, okay. Also what is going to be important is definitely earnings reports from Nvidia today. So this could shake markets a little bit, because everyone is saying that the whole stock market or AI is driving higher by Nvidia. So we will see if this this mania cycle could potentially slow down a bit. It definitely will not, if earnings will be missed, it won't just you will not see just a move to the downside on Nvidia itself, but obviously we could see some move to the downside tomorrow on technology sector as a whole. Also cryptocurrencies in such case, as you know, could see some retracement. Now from an Elliott wave terms, I still think that this is a pretty nice ongoing bullish run, but even if we see some kind of a drop on earnings, I think that the wave 4 could potentially stop here at this gap or around already somewhere close to 400. But this gap is pretty interesting here when looking back, because it was earnings, there were earnings report back, it was back on what, this was back in April 23rd, and also notice that in that area we have the former swing highs here. So I still think that this level is quite attractive, around 350, okay. So if suddenly we see more weakness here, then obviously cryptocurrencies could also see some more damage. And now let's take a look on Bitcoin itself. Now or maybe before we start, let me look at the crypto total market cap. Yes, crypto total market cap. So here still we are in a corrective phase, I believe. So that was a 5-wave rise and we are now in ABC setback. So obviously this has a lot to do also with dollar itself, okay. I know that SpaceX documents showed that they are holding less Bitcoins than that actually they sold some of their Bitcoins. So everything that is linked to Elon Musk has a huge impact on social media, and this obviously is also visible through the price charts here. But still you have to consider that we have a very strong US dollar over the last few weeks, okay, and that Fed also said that they could be actually even for higher rates if the data will suggest so. So we are waiting on more data before maybe Fed can give us more clearer signs of what really they will do with the rates. However, higher the rates will go, there will be high risk for the recession. We are already rates moved extremely sharp over in a very short period of time. Okay, so there's definitely a recession risk, but this could potentially occur with a delay. But obviously, sooner or later they will slow down, especially if inflation will really come back to 2%. And in such case, we can expect that even dollar at that point will also hit resistance, but for now that's not the case yet. Okay, so dollar index is still in recovery mode. Actually, I can add this dollar index here. Okay, so you can see here we have dollar index. Let me make this small. Okay, so you can see here dollar index, and I think the dollar index is in a recovery mode, but only temporary. Okay, so we can be seeing an ABC correction, okay, maybe even towards 106, 107 level, or potentially this is already a flat correction with wave C in final stages. Okay, so that's also another valid interpretation, meaning that there will be a reversal earlier than we think. Okay, to the downside. But the important is that in both cases, I see dollar index in temporary corrective rise. And you can clearly see on the opposite side of this that the correlation is pretty negative. Okay, so I think when dollar index will potentially hit resistance 106, 107, maybe even already 105, I think that's when we should watch and observe the price action on cryptocurrencies very closely, because that's when also this market could potentially stabilize. Okay, so we see this wave C ongoing still. If that's a flat, has room for more weakness here when looking at the crypto total market cap. Now looking at the Bitcoin, also we are observing this 5-wave rise followed by a counter trend movement. I think that can be a wave C already back towards this very key support level for this year, here around 25,000. But I think that there were a lot of longs building over the last few weeks when we have seen this first push to the upside. So a lot of stop orders are probably placed below that level. And if we really are going to see this level broken, that's when those inflows that I showed you earlier could really increase, because then again, there will be even more investors, traders who will be convinced that Bitcoin is going to see much more damage here going forward, and there will be more sellers going on. Okay, so whenever we will have a spike in these inflows, I think that this will be the perfect indication that we are closer to a support on Bitcoin and that change in cycle can again occur. So from an Elliott wave perspective, I still think that this is a pretty solid, good wave structure for potential correction, and that we could see more upside here after an ABC flat is finished. Okay, also looking at the 4-hour chart really quick here, so we either are going to see a 3 waves drop here for a wave C or a flat. As I said, then this level should be broken. But if suddenly, let's say that we will see a recovery away from current levels and even closer to 28,000, then of course there can be indication that this whole price action from April is actually triangle rather than a flat. But for now, I will stick to the potential flat. Okay, because I also think the dollar has room for more upside. Now let's take a look on the Ethereum. Now Ethereum is also showing a obviously very similar price action. Overall, we are tracking a counter trend movement, ABC. What's the most important whenever you look at the potential correction is to look at the substructures. And if you see in the first leg, the substructure in 3 waves, like in our case, okay, that was a 3-wave drop, then it means that this is either a completed correction, okay, and that uptrend will resume, or it's part of a complex correction. In our case, it's part of a complex correction since market moved significantly to the downside. So we firstly thought that Ethereum is already on the way to new highs here above these April levels, but since market got extremely to the fell extremely strongly recently, obviously we have to admit that that was wrong, and we are going now with a new wave count, but still it looks like a corrective. So if you're a longer term investor, maybe still this is just for some opportunity to buy a dip. Of course, it may take time before really a very, very strong bull market bull run will show up here on the Ethereum, okay, on cryptos in general, I mean. So from an Elliott wave perspective, if it's a flat 335 pattern, you need 5 waves down for a wave C. And we already retested the lower side of this parallel channel where I connected the starting point here of wave A and ending point of wave B. But notice that still we don't have these 5 subwaves down. So even 61.8% is possible in my opinion. It's around 1500. Also, there was a lot of noise going on around that level here, okay? Especially when you look back here in February and then March. So I think that this could be a pretty nice and attractive level for potential new bounce. Even if recovery, let's say, will be only temporary after 5 waves down, I would expect minimum 3 wave retracement, okay? So I think that market could stabilize down there. Now let's take a look on Ripple as well. Now Ripple is making a very sharp reversal, and if we were looking for the updates back in July when actually there was an announcement that Ripple won the case against Security and Exchange Commission, I said that you should be very careful because there was a lot of hype going on. So it was overcrowded trade. Everyone was looking for much more upside in Ripple, but usually this is not how it works, okay? Because if something is moving, just it's too obvious to happen, it won't happen. So in my opinion, it's not a surprise to see this reversal to the downside. So a lot of traders are now wiped out from their longs, and I think that that's actually a timing when we should be aware that maybe new cycle is around the corner. So I still think that this could be a very big, some kind of an ABCDE triangle. Very nice support here. S is still around 40 cents maybe. We have seen a touch of this level going back to July of this the day when or the price I should say, when they announced this this win over the over Security and Exchange Commission. But still, looking at the smaller time frames, I assume that there can be another lag to the downside. Notice that I'm looking at counter trend movement like an ABC drop down from that high, but looks like wave C, even if it's in play, if it spiked to that level, still it's not finished yet. I think that there is room for more weakness, but if we see suddenly, let's say, break a daily close, even better, few daily closes above 60 cents here, then I think that more upside could really already be happening, okay? But for now, I still think, and I am aware that there can be some more weakness here, but longer term, again, it's probably a correction, but just these corrections, as you know, will take longer to unfold. They will try to confuse traders and investors, so they will change their mind regarding the longer term investments. But when looking at this chart, I still think it's pretty clear, and that at some point, if not this year, then next year, I think that Ripple could see much more upside. Now let's take a look also on final, which will be Litecoin. So Litecoin is also coming back into this interesting trend line. That's why I bring this on. It's the support that goes back from March 2020. So if this trend line holds or not being broken with any kind of a daily, weekly closes, I think that there is a chance actually that we will see our turn in price here. But for now, it's a little bit early still, even if this is going to be wave C to the downside, okay? Wave C to the downside of a big flat correction, still wave C should be made by 5 subwaves. So maybe even some short-term traders, scalpers, whatever, they could be looking for potential shorts to catch this ongoing weakness, because after all, if that's a wave C, you need 5 waves down, and for now that's not really the case yet. You are actually at the base channel, potential resistance here for a wave 4, so maybe the final leg to the downside is coming. But I think that very nice support could be here again around 50 bucks. Okay, traders, thank you very much for attention. I really hope that this video helped you, and if you will have any questions, anything, please let me know. Have a good day. Bye.